You know, guys, God does have a very funny way of weeding out stupid people.
Tonight, Fox 5 has obtained never-before-seen footage of a YouTube prank that ended with a shooting. A Loudoun County jury found Alan Coley not guilty of the most serious charge connected to the shooting at Dulles Town Center. David Kaplan's working this one tonight. You got your hands on the video. What happened here?
Yeah, Jim, Tanner Cook's YouTube page has nearly 56,000 followers. Most videos show Cook going to public places and doing some sort of prank that people typically have negative reactions to. We're going to walk you through this video without audio first, then we'll play the whole thing for you. On April 2nd at Dulles Town Center, Cook was being filmed as part of his YouTube page as he walked up to Collie, who was picking up a food delivery. On Cook's phone, he had an automated voice play a vulgar message that was repeated multiple times to Collie, who tells him to get away or he'll call the police, is what it appears to say in the video. Collie tries walking away. Cook appears to follow. Then the lone shot rings out. Here's the full video.
What?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
What's that mean?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Hey, quit thinking about my
Get on my face and plug house on. Stop.
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
Many people have been using the phrase F around and find out about this little incident, and I, for the most part, do in fact concur. But I prefer what I said at the very beginning a little bit better, because it's true. God does have this way of weeding out stupid people. Now, before we get started on this and I explain what was going on in here, I got two little stories here. I promise you I'll be very, very brief with this first one, because this first one, of course, is going to be here, and the second one's going to be more towards the end, because I can kind of relate to the delivery driver, which means that you're probably already thinking that I'm going to be going a certain way, a certain direction when talking about this, which, of course, I am going to be, so make sure you guys stick around. And why it is that all these people out here who are saying that the delivery guy went a little bit too far with this are absolutely wrong, and they're not actually seeing the bigger picture here. It also goes to show you exactly how big of a disconnect there is between certain jobs and certain people who live in certain areas. This is once again another one of those cases. Don't worry, I'll talk more about that more towards the middle of the video once we get past the news reports and everything, and of course the expressions that came from Mr. Cook, the YouTuber, his mother, and his father. I think that the reactions to this are very telling about the situation. But let me go ahead and tell you this. I had an instructor, okay, an instructor when I was in law enforcement academy. I'm not going to give out his name or anything, but he was a former North Carolina State Highway Patrolman. And of course, if you're from the state of North Carolina, then you probably know that we take our state troopers extremely serious. I mean, very serious. Top 5 law enforcement unit in the country when it comes to highway patrol. I mean, people can pick out North Carolina state troopers from a mile away. Me, prior service Marine, guys who were in the military actually quit the academy like crazy, because the academy is in fact pure hell. Well, while you're in BLET, you're getting this motor vehicle law training, and you're going through all the notes and you're going through everything. It gets a little bit boring. And of course, if you've got a good teacher, they will oftentimes tell you little stories. And of course, we had an instructor who used to tell us a lot of stories about some of the stupid things that he had seen working for the North Carolina Highway Patrol. And the phrase that he always had, and I'll never, ever, ever forget this, is that God has a funny way of weeding out stupid people, because there are some things that happen. Of course, nobody wants to see motor vehicle accidents or things occur that might get somebody killed. But there are things that do happen that, quite frankly, happen due to somebody's stupidity. For example, there was a group of guys who decided to lay out in the middle of the road one night and do peyote. They got ran the hell over by a woman in a Dodge Caravan who was carrying her kids home. She couldn't see them. They were right there on the road. Bam, hit them really, really fast, just like that. And these two guys are dead. You think that woman went to jail? No, she got a ticket. She was told to go to court. And of course, she eventually, they didn't find a crime there. They found out that the parties were actually stupid. And it kind of reminds me of the situation here. Because you see, back in the day when YouTube really got hot, you had these people out there who did like these pranks and challenges and all that stuff. And they made a lot of money doing it. I was amazed that nobody ever got hurt in the process. Then you get someone like, say, primetime Alex Stein, Alex Stein 99, whatever you want to call it. I've done a couple of videos on him. I actually like Alex, but I've also said that at some point in time, he's probably going to troll the wrong person, and the wrong person's probably going to react a certain way. Now, this guy right here, Tanner Cook, if you look at it, and of course the clip was being shared all over X, Twitter, formerly Twitter. It was also being shared all over Facebook too. And many of the comments thought that the delivery driver went too far. No, the delivery driver did not go too far, as the court actually found out. Now, guys, before we dive any further, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the news report. I'm going to react to that, and then we're going to come back and look at the mother's expression and, of course, the guy, the prankster's expression. And I'm going to explain to you guys why it is that this right here seems like a case that maybe someday, let's just say that somebody who's very, very dumb may in fact get weeded out. Let's go ahead and roll this.
To have a concealed carry permit, Cook has recovered. Colley was found guilty of discharging a firearm in a public place. Again, not guilty on some of the wounding-related charges. His attorneys, Colley's, getting a hearing next month, arguing that the verdict should be thrown out on the discharge in public since it was self-defense. Today, the Loudoun County Commonwealth's attorney says the force used by Colley, they believe, did not match the threat he faced. Cook's father, Jeremy, agreed with that, but disagreed with some parts of how the Commonwealth's attorney prosecuted its case.
Where's the line where it became a life-threatening situation where he had to use deadly force? If you see that line that was crossed, then you can think like that. But if you watch the video, at no point do you go, oh, there's where it became a physical point where this guy had to defend himself. That never happened.
Tonight to get their perspective. They told me this was a difficult case. One juror told me that he did believe that Cook was a threat, to Colley, specifically pointing to Cook's size relative to Colley, and that Cook had an expressionless face. The jury originally told the judge they were deadlocked. Then they came back with the verdict a short time later when they handed down that verdict yesterday. What was the jury thinking in the room? What changed their mind? I have the one juror's perspective. We'll have that at 6:30 as we continue our coverage. Jim, Jacqueline.
Now, Mr. Colley, obviously he got off, and then, of course, you've got this other thing where his attorneys are trying to get the discharge in a public space removed. Virginia is a very, very pro-2A state, even though it was ran by Democrats for a very long time. The Democrats who ran that didn't really go too far, except, of course, in the case of Ralph Northam, where he physically wanted to actually confiscate people's firearms. And, of course, we had the Virginia 2A rally, and now you have Glenn Youngkin, which, by the way, I've got some issues there. But he's still been pretty good, though, for the most part, when it comes to other stuff. I still don't really forgive him over the whole Roe v. Wade protest and how it was that Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house was pretty much allowed to have people. There was a guy who actually went there and tried to kill him a while back. So, yeah, still got some issues there, but for the most part, he's governing like a conservative. But here's the thing that really bothers me, and I'm pretty sure you guys may have already caught it. The boy's daddy. Now, I'm not worried that much about Mr. Colley. I'll talk more about him towards the end of the video because there is a reason why it is I'm basically on his side here. In fact, I'm very, very pro-self-defense. And even though this was a case where you might could argue that it was not, trust me, it is, and I'll explain it more in the latter half of the video. The daddy looks to me like he's trying to find any avenue he can to try to get some form of sympathy for his son, as you will find out here in a second. There's not going to be a way to get any. But the thing is this right here. It's pretty obvious by the way that guy is dressed, the house that he's in. This is once again another case of suburban white boys being absolutely stupid. And I mean very stupid. That right there is what this right here looks like to me. I'm pretty sure it's what it looks like to most of you who are watching this video. It looks like suburbanites gone absolutely wrong. Proverbs 29:15. Child left to himself will bring his mother to shame. Speaking of his mother, let's go ahead and roll this.
Keep it pushing is what it is.
Your reaction? Are you hopeful that the one...
I just want to thank God that he's alive, and at the end of the day, you know, we respect what the jury says, and my family and I are just grateful and thankful that I have my son here, and nothing else matters right now, and that's it. I want to thank the prosecutors, the Commonwealth prosecutors, Ms. Jones and Eden Holmes. They did an outstanding job presenting this case, and we couldn't have had it any better, and regardless of the outcome, you know, the jury's the jury, and we totally respect how our law plays out, and this was the outcome today, and we respect that.
Yeah, Tanner,
Yeah.
let's go.
It's also bad for a parent when you think about it, that when your child does something so absolutely stupid, and judging by the facial expressions that old boy had there, it just seems to me like this is one of those cases where mama and daddy kind of let them get away with whatever, but then again, at the same time, he's doing this on camera, so he's kind of got her in a very compromised position. But still, I'm pretty sure that all the neighbors are looking at her and saying, my God, You really and truly are some very stupid parents. On the surface, the mother, from what you heard there, and I know the volume was a little bit low, the mother seems to me like she kind of understands that maybe this is a situation where it was actually fair, that, you know, my son really and truly screwed up here. He shouldn't have done that. But then you hear, well, we support him and all that stuff there. Then you get to the part to where this guy decided that he wanted to finally respond.
We'll see, you know?
How disappointed are you about this?
I really don't care. I mean, it is what it is. It's God's plan at the end of the day, so, you know?
And for your mom, how are you as far as opinion about his content on YouTube? Do you agree with that?
I support Tanner in whatever he decides to do, and I'm going to continue supporting him.
Yeah. How hard was it for you to watch that video again? I know you had to step out.
Yes. That was the first time I seen the video. No mom wants to see their son be shot by a complete stranger in an occupied place. It was very shocking and very heart-wrenching, and that's why I had to step out.
Last question. What's your message to Alan Coley?
I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me like the son has not exactly learned his lesson. He's going to do it again. He's going to keep doing it. And the mother, of course, what does she do? She just continues to walk while she's being interviewed, ask questions, and of course, you guys caught the very, very long silence. Now, she did eventually speak, and don't worry, I'll leave the article with the video and everything in the description box. But it seems to me like the mother knows that her son absolutely screwed up. Let me go ahead and tell you something. If I ever did anything like this, if I ever walked around and actually did YouTube pranks or whatnot and post them to the internet, my father would have beat my ass. My mother would have beat my ass too. And let's just say I had gotten shot in the process by somebody, and even if I was still alive, my parents would obviously respond a certain way. They wouldn't like it right away because I'm obviously their son. But in the courtroom, they would say that the judgment was, of course, fair, and then they would proceed to go out of their way to keep me from doing these types of activities ever again. Doing YouTube pranks, quite frankly, is very dangerous. Now, with that right there being said, let me explain the reason why it is so dangerous and why it is that the guy who was the delivery boy was 100% justified. So by proxy already, Mr. Cook has already got his mother looking horrible. She looks absolutely terrible in this entire situation. She looks like you've got a child that's completely undisciplined. Look at the way he was walking off. Not exactly a whole lot of respect being given, even to reporters. And I don't really like reporters or journalists either. But still, at the same time, it's not like you're doing your parents or yourself any favor, especially as far as your image is concerned. But then again, though, there are those people out there who really and truly do not care what happens. It just so happens to be, in this case right here, if something in fact does happen, he's not thinking about his mother and his father. But then again, though, we also saw his father earlier, and one person might go ahead and come to the conclusion that maybe his father is also making money as well. I mean, it's a 56,000 subscriber channel, a lot of pranks. Prank videos typically tend to do very, very good on the platform. So maybe the boy is actually getting paid a pretty good amount of money. Maybe Diddy is partially riding his son's coattails. Either way, at the same time, not exactly a good look. Speaking of parents riding coattails, I want to go ahead and throw this one out here. I want to say that it's Jake Paul, Logan Paul's father, kind of like rode their son's coattails. Yeah, that guy's a pretty sick dude if you actually look into it. And I don't care exactly how base that person may be. He's still pretty sick and pretty twisted, pretty disgusting. I don't think parents should be riding their kids' coattails. Is basically the point that I'm trying to make. But still, at the same time, though, if you actually look at that right there, a lot of very sick stuff. But let's get back. If you guys caught at the very beginning, Mr. Cook, he's a pretty big boy. All right, he's got a lot of size on him. And, of course, you guys, and I couldn't show you the full thing because YouTube would, of course, they would find a way to flag the video, and they'd probably make it to where it'd be age restricted if I showed you the entire thing, because the actual shooting itself is on X. You can find it on Twitter. I'll even link in the description box. But still, at the same time, though, the thing you have to understand is that obviously he did try to say, look, man, get out of here. He put his hand up, get away from me, try to move. And he knew that he was going to continue to be pursued by somebody who's probably a lot younger than he is, who's probably about 5 or 6 younger. The guy who's just simply working as a delivery driver, the guy who's carrying food to these places, he's just simply trying to do his job. He's not trying to be aggravated. He just wants to be left the hell alone. Now, a lot of people have said that this prayer went a little bit too far, but in reality, he did not go too far, as I'll explain to you guys now. When I was in my 20s, I worked for a pizza place. I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but I was a delivery driver. And not every single town, every small town was what we call a bum one light town. You will have some towns where you got about 30 or 40 to 50,000 people live there, and they're actually rough parts, rough neighborhoods in town. Well, a lot of these bigger chain stores, like say Domino's or Papa John's, or maybe even Jet's Pizza, if you have one of those there, or maybe if you have an Anthony's Pizza, a lot of these places, and Little Caesars too, which I don't even think Little Caesars, I know they don't deliver where I'm at now, but a lot of these places will not allow the delivery driver to be able to protect themselves. Now, in some cases, they will. But a lot of places, they'll say, look, if somebody robs you, you're kind of screwed. And oftentimes when a person's been robbed, the pizza place will automatically fire the employee anyways, because they will assume that the employee was in on the job. Now, you're thinking to yourself, this guy right here did a prank and he got shot for that. No. The point that I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of danger in the job. You're not allowed to defend yourselves. Now, luckily for me, I had a situation when I worked there that I actually had delivered a pizza, dropped it off, and a couple of boys tried to approach me while I had the cash on me, and I was able to get away. I did that because I had some good old-fashioned pepper spray on me. I was able to spray it, get back in the truck, get back to the store. It just happened to be that I only had about maybe 30 or 45 minutes left on the shift. I prayed to God that nothing was happening. They did ask me what the hell is that smell, because there's a little bit of an odor. And I said, I must have got a hold of something. No big deal. They didn't know about it right then. I didn't tell anybody till years after I eventually left that particular place. But the thing is this right here, the delivery driver a lot of times has got cash on them. And if they get robbed, they're not going to be covered. They're actually losing their job. So not only are you running the risk of losing your life, but you're also running the risk of losing your job too. I understand your life's a little bit more important, but still at the same time, especially if it's a situation where you got to kind of give up the money, they will still fire you anyways. It's a pretty cold-hearted business. Another thing too about delivery is that you have no idea who you're going to be running into. I have delivered food to homes before that were people who were actually quite well off. They act very snooty when they get to the door. Sometimes they're very nice. Some people will tip very well, especially if you did it in the Obama days and gas prices were through the roof. I mean, same thing here. Gas is a lot higher here, and you're not exactly getting a gas stipend. A lot of times you'll get an hourly wage, which is not even minimum wage, and then you're allowed to keep the tips. Some places don't even allow you to do that. But still, though, at the exact same time, most delivery drivers have got cash on them. If they get robbed, they go back. What happened? Well, I got robbed. Next thing you know, the police get involved. They automatically let you go, or they may put you on leave or whatever, but they normally go ahead and fire you because they automatically assume that, guess what? You are, in fact, responsible, which, by the way, is not exactly true because you got robbed while you were on. It's very, very rare that somebody was actually in on the take. But then again, there are also other places that would just fire you outright because, hey, it's only $50, but you cost us $50. We're not even going to bother the cops. We're just going to go ahead and let you go. So, yes, I kind of empathize a little bit with the delivery driver because I have actually been in that delivery driver's shoes. This guy's got a lot of size on him. He's coming up on him. He's holding his phone. He's getting up in his face. And while the guy's trying to get away, obviously this guy's beginning to pursue him. He doesn't know what's going to happen. So, yes, I think that my man took the right actions, and it's actually a good thing that he got off. Meaning that it's a good thing that he was found not guilty. As far as Mr. Cook is concerned, as you guys can obviously see, there's going to be somebody out there that could, in fact, get weeded out by God himself because this guy is pretty obvious from what you saw, not a very bright person. And it looks like his daddy is also not very bright, while his mother is definitely someone who is living in shame. This guy right here is eventually going to have something very, very negative happen to him as a result of his actions. Stupid white boy, suburban white boy bull crap is eventually going to find you. Let's just say it's eventually going to be the end of you is all I'm going to say on that. So kudos to the judge, kudos to the jury who let Mr. Coley go on about his business. Kudos to them for finding him not guilty, even though the discharging a weapon in a public place will more than likely get dropped. I have to say that he, of course, was more than justified in this situation. And all I have to say to Mr. Cook is keep doing this. F around and find out and see if God does not find a way to weed you out. As I said before, God has a very, very funny way of weeding out stupid people. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys share the video. Sound off in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts on this. Share the video. Post it to Facebook. Post it to Twitter. Wherever. I'll see you guys later.